Welcome friends to a review on the 2023 BMW M4 xDrive competition. I'm excited to check out this coupe because I was a big fan of the previous generation M3 and M4, really impressed with the way those cars drove, but I did notice that those vehicles were a bit stiff. Let's see how this latest generation rides out in the real world. But a special thank you to Bentley of High Point, North Carolina for giving me this opportunity. This dealership is able to ship nationwide, and if you're interested in purchasing this car, you may contact Chris Rivas. I will have his phone number on the screen and in the description box for you to check out. But being that this is the 2023 model year, we have here the twin-turbo inline-six engine producing 503 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. The newer model years produce a bit more power, but they lose out on the physical buttons and switches for your HVAC, which we have here. So that might be a reason as to why you might actually want this used model. And the price at this dealership, it's about 75 grand with a little over 9,000 miles on it. That's actually not a bad price, especially considering the fact these cars really hold their value in the used market. I'm really impressed by that. But let's go ahead and let's get this car out on the road and let's see how it handles. I'm going to start out in the comfort modes just to see what the ride quality is like on everyday roads. And I have to say, this is much softer than the previous generation M3s and M4s. And I did get an opportunity to drive both the regular M3/M4 and the competition models of the previous generation. The regular models before, they were definitely softer than the competitions. Well, here we have a brand new competition M4 to check out here, and the ride quality is better than both models of the previous generation. That is a huge benefit here. Now, although the newer model years make a bit more power, like the 2025s, even as you see it here, the manufacturer 0 to 60 time, according to BMW, is 3.4 seconds, but Car and Driver managed to get 2.8 second 0 to 60 time. That is tremendous. Yeah, I'm going over some rather large impacts here, and this vehicle is soaking everything up flawlessly. I mean, sure, you do feel it. It's certainly a bit more taut, but it's not a back-shattering ride. That's the point I'm trying to make. And we have here the 19-inch wheels in the front, wrapped in 275 wide tires, and in the rear you get 20-inch wheels with 285 wide tires. I am getting some tire noise here, but overall, I'm not too upset by it because the ride is so decent. Now, you were able to get these vehicles with the manual transmission. We obviously have here the 8-speed automatic, but I gotta say, the 8-speed transmission in these vehicles, they suit the character of these modern day BMWs so well. Because we have such a snappy drivetrain, I just think the 8-speed automatic makes more sense in this application. And also go ahead, put everything into its sport mode, turn on the M exhaust, and see how it does on some back roads. Yeah, this absolutely just catapults off. Really impressive. Actually, yeah, now it's in the sport mode. Getting up to ridiculous speeds in no time. You know, the reason why I really wanted to check out this car is because even the previous generation models, they were giving me like a supercar level of agility and thrust, and I'm not even exaggerating. Yes, supercar levels. And this continues that same feeling while being a bit more compliant. And I'm also a big fan of the steering here. Even in the M2 mode, the steering, it's not ridiculously overweighted. Sure, the steering still feels numb, like you don't get too much feedback from it, but again, at least this is a livable package. That's the point. notice the ride getting slightly more jittery when you play with some of these M modes. But still not bad at all. Another thing to mention is, even though we don't have the thicker double pane glass on the sides, the wind noise is rather well contained even at the higher speeds. That's impressive. But the way you see it here, this competition model also comes with the xDrive all-wheel drive, and that's special because you are able to actually put this vehicle into its pure rear-wheel drive mode as well. You can just go into the settings and turn off the four-wheel drive and convert this into a pure rear-wheel drive machine. That is so cool. I absolutely love that about these modern-day BMW M cars. And this all-wheel drive system, it only adds like 100 pounds to the curb weight. The way you see it here, this is just a tad under 4,000 pounds, which I know that sounds rather heavy, but trust me, in the corners, you don't even feel it. I mean, even in the all-wheel drive mode, this car still has like an edginess to it, a playfulness, even in the all-wheel drive mode. And of course, because this is a dealership car, I'm not going to be drifting this or anything like that. But even the BMWs that I previously owned, even though the steering was rather numb, you were almost always able to drift and hoon these cars successfully without any real issues. You always knew what the chassis was doing. But yeah, I do think that the all-wheel drive system in these full M cars, it is worth getting because you're able to literally turn it off, but you're also able to have like this dual purpose everyday machine. You know, you can drive this in inclement weather and have a true daily driver on your hands with supercar levels of capability. And for now, with these latest generations, you actually have a livable package here. You put the suspension into its comfort setting. I mean, the ride quality is rather good. It's rather compliant for what this is. I would say the only real con I've noticed with this driving experience, it's going to be the tire noise that you get. Sure, you can swap out these tires and get a more quieter experience, and I would consider doing that, but oh well, it is what it is. Small gripe for an otherwise excellent package. And I don't know, this is a car that even I'm sort of convinced by it. I kind of want to buy it for myself. I don't know if I will or not, but this is genuinely a car that I can see myself rocking on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it's just simply doing everything I want, but does the vehicle have character? Does it feel lifeless, soulless, or anything like that? I gotta say, even though we have some numb steering here, the car does feel like it has some sort of character to it. It's not a completely robotic or clinical feeling car. It's got an edge to it, as I mentioned before. And yeah, because of that, I don't mind rocking this on a day-to-day basis. Sure, it doesn't have the same level of character as something like my previous Lexus LC500 with its naturally aspirated V8. Nothing is really going to be touching that. But other than that, I'm loving the playful, dynamic chassis. And I like the fact that BMW actually got their steering weight under control. This is not an obscenely, overly heavy steering rack. So although it's void of some feedback, I don't really care. Overall, I do think that this car is a winner, especially for the capability, how modern it is. You know, we do have some good technology here, even though this is the 2023. So with that established, let's go ahead and let's transition into this interior segment now. Okay, now that we are stopped, let's quickly talk about this interior space. So I am impressed with the overall build quality here. Everything feels solid. Most of these modern day BMWs, they do feel very good regarding the interior space. Due to the slightly more taut ride quality, I did notice some subtle rattles here and there. Regardless of that, interior for me is a big pro, and I do like the layout in here, and I do appreciate how ergonomic everything is. But real quick, I want to talk about the seats because we have the regular M4 seats here. Very comfortable, very plush. This isn't the crazy bucket seats. They look pretty cool. I do wish that they were a slightly different color, like the very cool orange or the red colors, but oh well, if you want that full black on black look, this car is offering that. But yeah, you have some decent lumbar support here. The steering wheel, that looks good. We do have the carbon fiber interior as well. So we have carbon on the center console, on the dash area, and on the steering wheel as well. If you like the longer paddle shifters, this vehicle also has that. The doors feel good when you open and close them. But other things, we do have the optional Harman Kardon audio system here. The clarity is very good. It's obviously not going to measure up to flagship, sound systems, but whatever. This is pretty good for this type of class. It'll basically get the job done. We have the 12.3-inch infotainment screen here. You do get wireless Apple CarPlay. I'm not sure about the Android Auto, if that's wireless or not. I was not able to find any verbiage regarding that, but I did hear on the BMW forum that even if you plug in your device, your Apple device, apparently the Apple CarPlay still works wireless. Not sure what's up with that. So if you want the best connectivity, well, I guess you're not going to be getting that here. You will always be running your Apple CarPlay wirelessly, quote unquote, if that makes sense. Regardless, though, I've never had an issue with the wireless CarPlay in any BMW product. It's always worked flawlessly for me. But the infotainment screen itself, it's easy to use, quick to respond still, no problems. And more importantly, you have these separate physical buttons and switches for your HVAC. And you even get a separate readout screen for your temperature and your fan speed. Very impressive. We also have here the heated seats, and we have a full digital gauge cluster as well. I will, however, say that one con regarding this BMW M4 is the rather small fuel tank. I think it's like 15.9 gallons. It's a bit on the small side. The fuel economy rating on this, it's 16 city, 22 highway for the xDrive competition models. And of course, you do have to use premium fuel. Anyway, we do have a wireless phone charger here, 2 cup holders. You have some space in the center armrest, kind of average, and the glove box is okay as well. And we don't have a sunroof here because we actually have the very cool carbon fiber roof. Big fan of that. And the overall visibility in this cabin, it's very good. Despite it being a coupe, I can see out the front easily. The sides aren't an issue, and even the back. Everything is pretty good. It's an easy car to drive. I do wish that the side mirrors were a bit larger, but oh well, not a big deal. And something else I really like is you don't get a lot of wind noise from the mirror area of this M4. I did experience that with some other BMW M products, but here, that hasn't really been an issue. Something else that I'm a big fan of is the rear seats. I am 5'11", and I can genuinely fit behind myself, and rather comfortably, I might add. I said the same thing in my M440i review. Honestly, that was another superb machine, but I do think this M4 is better. But it's nice to know that you can actually get a coupe here that is somewhat practical. And overall, getting in and out of this car, not too bad. It's not like some ultra crazy low slung automobile. It's pretty reasonable, all things considered. And you even have a good sized trunk as well. So yeah, once again, I am a big fan of the M4 as a package. In my opinion, this is offering tremendous value, to the point where even I would consider buying one of these. Yeah, some of the cons that I have to mention, it's going to be slightly higher tire noise that I'm getting here and a smaller fuel tank. And I guess a third con I could mention is regarding the gear shifter. It is a bit obtuse and it does take some getting used to, but once you're used to it, it should be fine. I just wanted to let you know that the shifter is not exactly traditional by any means. Regardless of that, let's go ahead and let's conclude this review. Concluding thoughts on the G82 BMW M4 competition. Well, as you can see by this review, I am a big fan of this vehicle. It's just doing everything right, and I appreciate some of the refinement updates that they have made to this car compared to the previous generation. As mentioned before, the previous M3s and M4s, they felt razor sharp, they felt like scalpels, almost had that supercar vibe about the way they drove. Everything was immediate and I loved it. Well, here, this latest generation, it's the same thing, just a bit more ironed out, a bit smoother, and I love the ride quality even with these 19/20-inch wheels. When you have the vehicle in its comfort setting, that's great. Although I did notice some tire noise. And we don't have here the double pane glass, although I personally don't really mind that, because over refining a performance car like this with, you know, thicker double glazed glass, that could take away from some of the character and from some of the immersion that you feel when you drive these cars. So that's fine. I would maybe just do a tire swap to something, you know, a bit smoother, and that should be good. The straight line speed is epic and even better than what BMW suggests on their official spec sheets. The steering is numb, but the reason why I don't care is because the chassis and the car itself communicates with me perfectly, and the steering weight is not insane. It doesn't have that chintzy sim racing steering feel, so I'm glad to report that. Interior space feels great, seating comfort is on point, plenty of adjustability in the front seats, and you saw that I can even fit behind myself in the back seats. And I'm 5'11". Sure, I sit closer to the steering wheel than most people my size, but come on, that's still really impressive that a near 6-foot person can fit in the back seat of this coupe. We have some great features, physical controls with the 2023 model for the HVAC. I kind of wish we had a 360 camera here, but overall, because this vehicle is so easy to park and to place out on the road, I guess it's not a big deal, just would be nice to see. Trunk is massive, and you can even fold down the rear seats for more space. Overall, I do think that these xDrive competition M3s and M4s are absolute winners, and you won't be disappointed with these vehicles, especially since I still feel like these cars have retained some level of character. It's not a completely detached and soulless experience. I think for someone that wants a do-everything car, this is certainly something to look into, because the price point on this is also amazing. At this dealership, Bentley of High Point, North Carolina, they're asking just a tad under $75,000 for this car, and with the mileage that it has, a little over 9,000 miles, that's actually a really good price. And even with all the resources that I share with my audience, I mean, even a 2025 M4 competition xDrive, it's going to cost over $10,000 more than this 2023 at Bentley of High Point. Not to mention, this particular model that I tested, it had like this $2,000 K-band radar jammer or radar scrambler. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it had that setup fitted onto this M4. So if you find value in that, there you go. I'm personally not an expert when it comes to these radar jammers and all that, but I just want to let you know this vehicle does come with that. And this car also is rocking the executive package as well, which at the time costed $1,550. And I like the carbon fiber interior pieces and the carbon roof as well. So yeah, if I wanted a performance car under 6 figures, this would be honestly at the top of my list. It's a great do-everything type of car. The capabilities of this are just so high. I mean, it just reminds me of like a Porsche product almost, but for way less money. Regardless though, if you want to pick this vehicle up, it is located at Bentley of High Point, North Carolina. This dealership is able to ship nationwide. If you're interested, I will have Chris Rivas and his phone number on the screen and in the description box for you to contact. And a fun fact, Bentley of High Point is actually the first Bentley dealership in the United States. Just thought I would throw that in there. But if you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.